This is the Average Guy Network, and you've found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 478, recorded on February 4th, 2021. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. Some find your way into your home in a big way. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here. Mike, weird storm came through last night. It was like 45 yesterday, and then rain, ice, snow, all overnight. Like, I went to bed and it was great. Woke up and it was covered.
And now we're in the frozen tundra for the next, I think, week and a half to 2 weeks. I think we're barely going to get above maybe 14, 15 degrees for the next 2 weeks.
I know. I wish I would have gotten out if that's the wrong message. Jim says, yeah, Omaha is going to be in a deep freeze.
We are
next week. We do have some really cold weather, but that's good because that means a lot of inside computer work. And we'll talk about that here on the show tonight. But of course, we'll post a few show notes here this week out at the AverageGuy.tv. Don't forget, big thanks to our Patreon subscribers, you guys who we throw up there, Brian, Tim. I don't know why it says V Tim, but Tim, Ed, Aaron, Joe, Jim, Ross, Andy, John, Ed, Ryan, Justin, John, Brian, Dwayne, Nathaniel. That's a pretty good list. And Paul. Thanks, guys, for being Patreon subscribers. Always a big help to us here, and appreciate that as well. And then, Mike, of course, the trading stuff, we talked about that a little bit last week, and it continues to be interesting. Let's just say it that way. By the way, now's a good time. I think now's a good time if you haven't evaluated crypto and you want to do that. You don't have to put your own money in, so to speak. Check out the AverageGuy.tv/Coinbase. Set up an account. You get 10, I get 10. And then there's like 40 or 50 bucks worth of trading in there. All you got to do is watch these videos and answer some questions. It's actually like, if you don't know anything about crypto, it's actually kind of interesting, right? You get 4, 5, 6 different coins you can kind of mess around with. You get anywhere from $3 to $10 per coin. Just a great way to get started. The AverageGuy.tv/Coinbase. And we'll start you with 10. I mean, if you don't understand it, don't invest in it. But in this case, it's not your money. So give it a try. We'd love to have you do that as well. And so I think good times ahead. Well, I don't know. I'm not a financial planner or expert or even a lawyer. Mike plays one at work, but not in this case. So yeah. We just be careful out there. Kind of an update. I was on recording with Dave McCabe last night. We recorded Reset. He's been super busy. I kind of quiz him on where he's been. And so if you were a Reset listener and you like, man, I haven't heard. I think the last one he did was Schoonover, is where they were talking about SMRs versus what's the other one?
I just say non-SMR. I don't know.
Yeah. Non-SMRs. There you go. There is a term for it, but I can't remember. They'll throw it in the chat room here in a second. That's the last one Schoonover was on, is in May. So we catch up with Dave a little bit, talk about some kind of what he's gotten into. Mike, like you, he catches these, bugs.
Yes.
And he just goes all the way in on these things. And so I don't want to spoil it. So you'll have to listen, head out to Reset. If you unsubscribe from it, head out to Reset FM and resubscribe, or you can find Reset in any of the podcasting apps. Do you want to say something, Mike? Sorry.
Well, I was going to mention, actually, just super quick. One thing I was thinking about this week, and when you brought up Coinbase number one, then we were talking about, trading and things like that. Throwing it out there, we're going to talk about Mac here in a second. If you guys are, we've all been working from home for the past however long, a few of us, most of us, some of us have been working from home. And if any of you have gotten into, trading on the markets, I found out that there's a lot of people out there that don't know that through your brokerage, whether it be TD Ameritrade or Schwab, they have trading platforms that are free to use. And meaning, when I say that, I mean like an app to use for trading, which is great, other than using their website. If you're, buying and selling securities. So something to think about if you have been dabbling in that. TD Ameritrade has a great one, Thinkorswim. It's the one I use. But I was talking to a buddy, and he does this just for fun. And he's like, gosh, this website's so clunky. I'm like, why are you using the website? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, there's a free trading platform on all these brokerages. And he had no idea. So, if you're out there and that's what you're doing, there's an app and it works great on Mac. I actually run Thinkorswim on my Mac prime time. So there was just something that came up and I was like, you know what? If someone's in the community and didn't know that, it might be a little helpful tip right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, these are interesting times. Whenever these kinds of things happen, AMC, GameStop.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Everybody kind of like all of a sudden my 24-year-old son is talking about stocks.
Right.
Like he didn't know he didn't know anything about that just a couple weeks ago. But I think, and that's not totally true, but I think these are great opportunities, by the way, for us. Well, okay, we all come at this a little bit differently. Mike, I have grown adult kids. You have young kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I think these are just great opportunities. Like this is, by the way, not the time to do things. If you haven't been in it and you're not doing it, this is probably not the time to just all of a sudden start. But to start paying attention, it's a great time to start paying attention. Read, learn, listen, figure some things out. These things are super messy when they happen. You probably already missed it, just to be honest. So, but they're great opportunities to jump in and kind of understand it. We talked about that crypto before. Crypto prices, especially Ethereum, is at an all-time high. This is a great time to start paying attention. Don't do anything, but start paying attention. Like this is a great opportunity. Mike, I just remember a year ago when we were at the bottom and that's the hardest time to get in because you're like, am I just throwing money into the trash can and lighting it on fire? And you feel like you are. And then you look, you come back to it today and you're like, wow, that was a really good decision.
Right.
And,
yeah.
Right.
Well, they always say the best time to get in the market was yesterday, right? That waiting. Oh, I shouldn't jump in now. Just get in, right? Because this is a long-term play. Well, I'm talking about the stock market, right? Like when you're investing for all that kind of stuff. But what I like about it, Jim, is nowadays with the amount of courses online, right. I dove deeper into trading options not too long ago. It was something, like in business school, you learn about options in your finance classes, but really diving into strategies of how to trade, options effectively. And I learned that all through courses online. Right. Like in a very succinct, quick manner. I love the access to that type of information. It's no longer, you don't need to go get a finance degree to understand how to, trade securities online, buy and sell options. Right. And it's so easy now with the apps you have, especially if you don't, I have to pre-clear all my trades since I work for a brokerage firm. But if you don't have to do that, you can get a Robinhood app and you can be trading options in a few days. So it's cool. I love the access to information and knowledge out there that kind of lets the average guy get in and compete.
Well, and that's it. I remember trading in 2000, 99, 2000, 2001 in the first .com bubble, right, that we had really. And that was the very first introduction to online trading. Like you could, before that, it wasn't even possible. Like we think of it today, it's like a foregone conclusion. Look at 99, 2000. What TD Ameritrade, who based here in the Omaha area, or at least was, I think now they're Schwab. I think they're merging with Schwab.
Heading down to Dallas.
Out of Texas. I remember trading stocks online and thinking, this is great. And maybe it was $7 a trade. Now that's gone to the bottom, right?
Now it's commission free. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And it, that's actually kind of led to some of the shenanigans that are going on right now. But okay, that aside. So certainly that has allowed the average guy, I think, to be involved in some of those things. I love 100%. The advice that you just gave. There's so much online learning available. So if you've been afraid of it, or it's just something that's just kind of mystified you, go out. There's lots of free training. There's lots of, be cautious on YouTube, please.
I was just going to say that, the other thing is with how easy it is to set up a Robinhood account, to set up a TD account. I see a lot of people not putting the time in to learn ahead of time and losing their shorts, making trades that cost them, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not, and maybe not to that drastic extreme, but you get educated first. What I'm saying is if you do it in the right way, all that information is there. I feel, there are so many, I would want to tell that to every college kid. I see so many kids who are legally able to do some of this stuff, but they know nothing about it. And they're just, pumping money away. Some of them are doing great because they're learning how to do it. But you definitely have to put in the research and know how these things work before you start doing anything on your own.
Well, the 2001 burst is taught me a lot of things, and in those days, I remember buying Red Hat at 60 and it going all the way to 400 and then it going all the way back to 5 or whatever it did. I can't remember. And I wrote it the whole way up and down and I made a whole bunch. When I say a whole bunch of money, this, I think at the peak it was maybe $2,000, right? Just to be honest. Like I was young, I had no money. I was
That's
trading with
money.
like $50, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Starting, 50, $100, something like that. You're trying to, hey, because you hear these stories of people turning $100 into $100,000, and you're like, oh, this is me. And we were day trading back in those days and giving each other advice at work, that kind of stuff. And yeah, I wrote it up and then I wrote it down. And I remember like closing that TD Ameritrade account out with like $7 in it, and you're like, man. So, but to be honest, it was a great learning opportunity for me. And it wasn't, I'm not going to say it wasn't real money because it was real money, but it wasn't a lot of money on that in that, so it's stuff I could recover from, and I didn't borrow, I didn't leverage, I didn't margin any of those things, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, we say all that to say it's just a hot topic right now, so be careful out there, but there's a lot of great technology around that. And for me, that Coinbase app still continues to just be a great way for me to keep up what's going on in the crypto market. So don't forget the average guy. The average guy.tv/Coinbase if you want to jump out there. Okay. Mike, let's talk some tech before we talk about the Mac. And yes, the Mac is here. And yes, Dave grilled me on the Mac when I was recording his show, which will probably be out next week as you're listening to this. So by the time you're listening to this, check out reset.fm and see if the most recent, by the way, Joe said CMR. So CMR, SMR,
there we go.
CMR. For those two different kinds of hard drives. So a couple things before we dive into the Mac. One is a couple updates for you, a couple hardware updates for you. So I told you last week I ordered the RAM, and it came in today via eBay, $60 for 16 gig, which not terrible. It's not great. I mean, it's old
Not
RAM.
great for the speed, right? That's the thing. Is almost like old RAM's more expensive because it's harder to get, right? They're not making
right.
new sticks of that. I'm in the same boat. Whereas like 60 gigs would get you, well, maybe the same, but a lot faster RAM. Now you can get new RAM DDR4 for that same price.
Yeah, you need to match it. So this is DDR3 1866. And I even tracked down the exact brand. Like this is exactly what I have in there. I wanted it to match. Checked out the pictures and made sure everything was, everything was exactly the same. So $1660. I'm kind of excited about it because that's going to go in the Unraid box. So that'll go from 16 gig of RAM now to 32, which is super cool. So that'll be full.
And is that the old media? Did you decide what to do? Is that your old machine that you were using to podcast that's now in Unraid?
Yeah. So Core i7 4770 chip. It's got a really nice Gigabyte Z87 board that's in there. That's got six SATA ports. And I'm Kevin back in the day. Kevin Schoonover sent me, I think, a SATA expansion board. It's not what we call them, but you know what I mean.
SLA card or something like that.
Yeah, right. Yes,
something like that. Right.
And I think it's got 8. I think it has 8. So 14. I'll have up to 14 slots available there. That'll come in handy because Joe sent me his Super Micro. So he had a couple of these.
Oh, nice! Look at that.
Yeah, he had a couple of these.
5 bay.
It is a Super Micro, and Dave busted me when he was interviewing me. He was like, hey, I want to give you one thing of advice. You guys are so video heavy that you don't, for the audio, you don't really explain sometimes what you're showing. And I was like, yeah, I know. That's our bad. We'll get better at that. So this is a Super Micro Mobile Rack CSE M35TQB. So there you go, Dave McCabe. Suck it. So I was showing it on screen right now. 5 bay, fan in the back, 2 down. Make sure I got the orientation right. Two power supply, for your power supply above, and then 5. Yeah, Molex. Thanks. 5 SATA down the side. So I have 10, and then I also will be able to have a 3 there for 13, and I can put 2 for 15. So I think I'm good on that.
That was a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
So how many drives total?
Well, let's see. I said 8 and 6, so that's 14.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have 10 on the Super Micro. And then I have another bay that will give me, that's got 3 in there. So 10, 13. And then, of course, the 14th will be the SSD.
Got it. Okay.
We'll put somewhere. So that will fill that box. So it's going in an old Cooler Master case that's tall, but it's got those, it has those, it's got 2 5.5-inch bays that are open. And then it actually, I think, has 3, and I got one of those full. So we'll move the board over, install. I'm like this. I don't know what it is about this, Mike. As I look at this,
does this go in the box or on the outside?
Yeah, no, it goes in the box.
Goes in the box. Okay.
Yeah, and it's a big, tall box. If you look at those Cooler Masters, you see they were really popular. They got a big, gigantic fan on the top that was kind of meant to exhaust, all that hot air coming from GPUs.
Right.
So, at some point, probably not this weekend, because I'm going to be working on the Mac, but we'll start putting those together. So, Joe, thanks for sending this. This is super cool. I've always wanted one of these. He's like, yeah, I got a couple sitting here. I was like, we'll send them on. Let's take a look at that. So that'll all be mounted. And Mike, I think I'll also then take and begin to consolidate. And, the question is, we mentioned this last week, I got an AMD box that I think is going to become a pfSense router. Again, it lived its life that at one point in time. And then I think and this is where I'm debating, I've got a small box that's really working well as an Unraid box, and it's got the Home Assistant on it. Dave grilled me on the Home Assistant, by the way, on that podcast. So if you want to go over and hear me talk about when he heard us talk about dashboards. Oh, by the way, we were supposed to have Joe from the Ultimate Dashboard on tonight. He couldn't make it tonight. So I mentioned that last week. If you're wondering, hey, you going to talk about that? We had a conflict, so we'll see if we can get him back on. But I think I may run 2 Unraid boxes. Do you see any problems with me having a power one that's kind of VM driven and those kinds of things, and then kind of keep that one for?
Not at all. I've thought about doing the same thing, especially if you have different size boxes, but moving around where the CPU horsepower is. No, not at all.
Yeah. Okay.
You have the low power that could be almost just like network storage, right? It's like a low powered NAS, and your other one's more of acting like more of that home server type build, right? Where it's going to do a lot more of the tasks.
It's extra power. It's kind of running the 1 terabyte drives that I got in the house. I'm having I'll be honest. I have a hard time letting things go.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I do.
So I'm just like, eventually I should tear it down, put everything on one box and just be done with it. That's a lot easier. However, it could make a backup for me as well. So I'll kind of work with it and see what happens as we move forward. But those are some of the updates as the Mac came in. Then a bunch of things kind of shift around here. Well, Mike, let's take a look at it. How about so I got a new view for you here. I installed the camera here. We'll go full screen on that. So you're kind of looking from the back of the studio now across at it. Mac Mini came on Wednesday night. You can actually kind of see it in the background right there. It's kind of hiding behind it. Mike, I found it really helpful just to put it. I have a little table back there, and I just set it on the table, and then brought all the cables up, including the monitor cables. I had purchased, and I think I maybe showed that on the show last time, but I purchased a Thunderbolt to DVI adapter. Yeah. These are Dell. These are older monitors. I think they're IPS monitors. They're 1080p. They're 24 inches. And they're just great monitors. I wanted to use them again, right? I didn't want to have to buy new ones. So DVI to Thunderbolt worked great. The other one was DVI to HDMI, which plugs in the second port, and boom, we're off and running. So you can kind of see here if we're sneaking you can kind of see the matte color in the background, right?
Yeah, and I like how you brought the cords towards you, so it's easier for you to plug and unplug USB devices, and you're not having to get up and reach around. You have access to those ports, so flipping it around so the back's towards facing you makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm not running cords back behind, and I think eventually I'll get rid of this table, and I might mount the Mac underneath the desk, just so it's there, kind of nice and clean. That Windows PC that had been the studio PC, which is still there, is now this rack kind of right here. So on the video, it's to my left, It's 2 stacked monitors. I actually have a really old Dell, almost like I think it's a 3x2. So it doesn't have very high resolution, but I kind of use it for things that I want to be able to see really well, Twitter, sometimes Discord, some of those kinds of things. So the Windows boxes are still here, and I've got another set of Windows boxes that are to my right and stacked as well. So these two stacked to the left. I've got 2 more stacked to the right, a 27-inch and a 22-inch above it. And then there's the work computers way over to the right. So I got kind of a lot of stuff going down. But Mike, the setup here works. That part works great. Like I had no issues with the 2 monitor setup.
Yeah, the hardware setup looks great.
Yeah.
Looks very functional. I thought I had an addiction to screen real estate. And then I look at your setup and there's just 4 in that screen. And then I know that to your right, like you said, you got what? How many more to your right, Jim? Two more monitors?
Well, 2 stacked. Yeah, to my right, I have 2 stacked that are
one extra.
And then for work, I have the ultra wide. So I've got the 34-inch ultra wide, and I've got a 24-inch touchscreen that sits above that. That's got the dashboards for, it's got the Home Assistant dashboards on it.
Yeah.
So I could literally be working. It's got the Ring cam. We showed those last week. So it's got the Ring cams on them. It's got the dashboards with the big buttons. And if I want to, as I'm working from to the right here, I can just the big buttons. I can just push that, turn off the lights, look at the Ring cam, some of those kinds of things. Yeah, I'm gonna install a toilet, right?
I was gonna say, do you ever have to leave?
No, I don't. In fact, my watch reminds me.
Time to stand up.
Yeah, watches me all the time. So let's talk a little bit about the setup experience.
Yeah.
By the way, the unboxing, super boring. Like, open the box. You can see the box up here. Open the box. It's right there. Little tab, pull it out. Underneath it is the cord. That's all there is to it.
They got so minimal with the packaging, even the iPhone packaging, right? The big thing was once they eliminated the power charger, there's like nothing to it.
Yeah, it's almost disappointing in some ways. You're kind of like, oh, so
how much money did I spend on this tiny little package?
Exactly. Yeah. So I began to kind of move some things around, get some things set up. I started with just a single monitor, kept the Windows box right next to it because I wanted to begin to set some things up. And, I'd done a little bit of advanced work just to kind of think, okay, I got to start getting kind of in the Mac mindset. It's it's not all that different than Windows, just to be honest. Like, closeouts in the opposite corner. It's like I almost did this on purpose. Clock is in the upper right instead of the bottom right. Even the permissions, whenever you go to install something, it asks for your password every time. I think because I set maybe encryption or something. I don't know why, but
that's pretty much always, unless it's from the App Store, it's going to ask you for that. Yeah.
It's okay because that's Windows. Now Windows just warns me like, hey, do you really want to do this? Doesn't make you put your password in. I set a password that I know really well, so it was pretty.
But with your Apple Watch, it shouldn't. You should just be, since you're wearing your Apple Watch, it should unlock that computer anytime you need a password. It should just be putting it in there for you.
Oh, okay.
That's another setting we'll have to get into to set up.
Yes, yeah. So there's over the next couple weeks, I'm going to need to go into to begin to optimize it and make because that would be awesome.
Yeah, because when you sit down and you hit the space bar, that thing should just unlock for you because you have your Apple Watch on and it knows it's you. So you should never have to type in your password except for on a reboot and maybe some other times.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So I got some work to do there. Began to jump in and think about browsers because there's really 2 things. Let me remove this thing because it's going to just distract me. There's really 2 things that I'm going to use this box for. One is streaming, what we're doing right now. So I needed to make sure the camera was working. I needed to make sure that the sound was working. So I called my buddy Ed Sullivan, and Ed's a sound engineer guy. So we jumped on and began to kind of work on camera, mic. How do we do this? He immediately said, well, there's two programs that you need to get if we're going to do podcasting on this thing. One is Audio Hijack. And that comes with, but you can package it with Loopback. Yeah, Loopback. So the 2 together, about $130. It's expensive when it comes to software, but on bottom Mac, I expect everything to be expensive.
I'd always wanted Audio Hijack, but I could never fork out the money for it. I never used it.
Well, it's one of those things. Recently, I've needed to play stuff back out to what we're doing here in StreamYard. right?
Yep.
And I've always, me too. I've always tried to hack it together with like,
Physical
okay,
connections.
yeah, can
Same
I
here.
make this
Yeah.
work or cheap it out, whatever? And Ed was like, look, this just works. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
right. So audio hijack, loopback were two we put on right away. Loopback had some crazy, like, okay, this first impression of installing things on the Mac. There's not like I expected that to be just a drop dead easy. Everything is the same. Like I thought they had this thing down. It there's like 3 or 4 different ways to me, and maybe just is that right
I
to
mean, there's
install?
especially, well, I think of like two, like App Store versus non-App Store, right? Like your traditional
Yeah, but
it
some are
comes
in a
down.
package, like some are a
Yeah.
package, some are a DNG, some are like they have all these different kinds of ways. Now, it's not once you figure it out, it's not hard. Drop it in the application folder, run it. Some of them give you some instructions like, hey, now drag this over here. You know,
Right. Yes.
right?
Yep. And it's usually a little shortcut to your applications folder anyway, if you're just
Mm-hmm.
dragging it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was a little surprised that Apple didn't have its install act together. I thought it would. Listen. I expect that on the Windows side
Yeah.
because although Windows is pretty simple now, you're either in the store or it's an exe installer for the most part,
Right.
right?
Right.
So that was kind of a little bit of a shock for me. Kind of like, oh, well. Anyway, so Ed walked me through, got all the audio set up, got the video working. We did some stuff. I was tuning the video right up until literally a minute before the show. Mike was giving me a hand on getting it done. But but I think what I want to spend some time and I want to quiz you a little bit on is all of a sudden, because I'm going to work in the browser on Mac OS, I started thinking, I'm now working in two different OSs. So I have Windows and Mac.
Right.
Well, I also have Android and iPhone because I'm working off browsers off my iPhone. I'm also through the, through my Fire tablet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just had it. There we go. Through the Fire tablet, I'm using Android. Okay. So I have 4 browsers. I also have 3 authentication environments now. So I have to authenticate to here to the studio PC. What used to be is a Windows Live account that I'm authenticating to, right, to make that work. Now Mac, I've got its own authentication. I'm logging in with a password, whether it's going through the watch or not. I'm still
Yeah.
logging in, right?
Right.
And then I have work authentication, right? So I've got those 3 different, and they all have different kind of ways of doing things, right?
Right.
And then I was thinking, I have 8 different browsers now because I've got Chrome and Mac, or Chrome and Edge, and what's the other one? Why is it escaping me all of a sudden?
Safari?
No, well, yeah, Safari actually. So 4, and then the secure one, Brave.
Oh yeah.
I use all 4 of those now for various. Okay, but then I also use some of those on the phone.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
And you're thinking, okay. And so the big question I had, and we posted this in the Discord group, theaverageguy.tv/Discord, if you want to join us out there. Like, how do I sync all these things? Because to me, bookmarks have become really, really important because I have to remember so many different things at work, and I don't want to have to go find them again. Like, I just want to be able to use them, right?
Yep.
And I was thinking, okay, well, maybe I can sync across Chrome. Okay, I can sync, but that doesn't sync with Edge, and definitely doesn't sync with Brave. And Safari is its total different animal, right?
Yeah.
So, Mike, when you think about so bookmarks are one of those, but there's got to be do you think there's other thing, like there's got to be other cross-platform things that we do now? Maybe browsers are the easiest to think about, but are there others out there as we think about, because you live in that environment as well?
I do.
Other things I need to worry about?
So, well, I mean, so me for browsers, I just standardize on 2, right? I standardize on Chrome and Safari. So Chrome I'm using 99% of the time because of, just like you said, I'm logged into one Chrome account on all computers, work computer, then my gaming computer, my Mac laptop. So that syncs fine. And then every so often, like whenever I make some big changes to my bookmarks, I'll open Safari on the Mac and just clear them out and import them from Chrome. That way those bookmarks are synced to my phone.
Okay.
So then when I'm on my phone with Safari, I have all my standard bookmarks. So it is one kind of manual step to get Safari, but I'm not updating the bookmarks I use every single day. I'm not changing very often.
Yeah.
I might book something for a temporary purpose, but I don't need that on all my devices. The only other one that I think of cross-platform that can be a little bit confusing on Mac, to be honest, just because of keeping it connected, is mounted drives on your network. So obviously mounting those drives, definitely use SMB. Obviously, they used to have the two protocols, one for Mac and one for Windows, but now I think everything is standardized on SMB. But the way Mac does it is just a lot different than Windows. I love the way Windows maps a drive. And in Mac, it just seems more like a connection that's like temporary, but not something that's like always in your file system like a map drive is. So that can be a little bit different.
Okay.
As far as everything else goes, cross-platform wise, it really just depends on what apps you're using, right? Like I use the Windows suite, so those apps being all synced across seems to work okay. But it really just depends on kind of what other things you're using. For me, the password manager, most of the time, they're available on every single browser. It doesn't really matter, right? I use Bitwarden. It works everywhere, even works on the iPhone, which is rare. So it works. Anything else you've run into, though, as you've tried?
Well, I didn't on the browser
setup process lately, which is, you learn a lot of those things when you're doing the setup. Like,
you really do.
I didn't think about, that aspect of it.
You're like, because it just worked in your browsers or whatever. The very first thing I always do is turn on LastPass. Like I just go straight for the jugular for passwords, because you're going to start setting all these things up again. And you're like, okay, I don't want to have to remember or find these passwords. So the first thing I do is start making sure that LastPass works in all the different browsers.
Right.
People may be wondering, like, why all those browsers, Jim? Why would you use them all? Well, I'm actually trying to move away from Chrome. So I'm trying to see, can I make Edge work for me?
Yeah.
This is kind of can I actually leave
the same as Chrome, right? You could standardize on Edge. It's
Chromium based here. StreamYard works in it. It's actually over the last couple of weeks I've been working in it, and it's really good. I actually like the fonts better. Like the fonts are easier for me to read in Edge than they are in Chrome for whatever reason. I've been using YouTube, or I've been using Brave to kind of be a blocker on YouTube, because I get so irritated with the 8,000 commercials, and I want to pay YouTube $10. Like it's Google,
I started doing that and I won't go back. They gave me I think I'm actually still on the free. They gave me 3 months free of premium, and I'm like, I will pay for this till the day I die, because I love YouTube with no ads. It's such an amazing experience.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to go back either. I've been on a 3-month free trial that ends in March, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. So I'm kind of anticipating having to, and it's going to happen on my phone. I can use Brave on the desktop to block them, and it works great, but I can't use Brave. I mean, I really like the YouTube app on my iPhone. So I have decisions to make at this point. You're kind of like, anyways. So, so that's why I'm trying to use different. I also want to stay kind of in touch with what the browsers are doing. I just to kind of know, since for the work that we do here. What I came up with, and I think it was Brian that helped me out. I think that was Brian or Bust Out. I think we had a conversation about this in the Discord group. Is an application, and I had seen this too, called Raindrop.io. Raindrop, all one word, .io. And it's actually a sync. That sync isn't the right way to say it. It's more like LastPass for your bookmarks. Like, it does a great job. You install an extension in all your browsers. Then anytime you make a change in any one of the browsers, you change it in the extension, the Raindrop extension, and then that syncs across all browsers.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I'd be looking for too.
Mike, it's super
right. That gets you out of, because the only other thing I was going to say about Edge with syncing is, doesn't that mess you up when you start to go to your different Windows computers that are signed to different accounts? Because doesn't Edge authenticate through your Windows account, right? Which is the only reason. Yeah, because that's why I ended up going with Chrome, because I am able to use it on my work laptop where I'm not authenticated like I am for my home Windows machine.
And I think they're working on unifying, so I could have my own personal account and my work account in the browser. and I think they're working on sync. I could be wrong between those today. That doesn't work. I
Got it.
don't think. But even if it did, it is kind of like, I'd almost rather have a repository. Mike, even at one point I thought about, I wonder if I exported an XML file and put it at the averageguy.tv that in a place only I could see it, and then I would sync, because a lot of these browsers gives you the ability to link to an XML file, right?
Yeah.
And then I would, and I thought, okay, there's got to be easier ways to get this done. So raindrop.io, it's an extension you install in your browser. What it caused me to do, my bookmarks had gotten out of control in Chrome. It was one gigantic list of, and you could put them in folders and stuff like that, but it really had grown to be one gigantic list. So I spent a couple hours going through cleaning up my bookmarks, grouping them together in things that made sense, and then really forced myself towards the end of the week to be like, okay, if I need a bookmark, because I've left them in the browser for now, just because I'm not that good yet. But going up into the extension, pulling it down, choosing it from there, retraining my brain, right, to kind of remember where those things are at, right? So raindrop, all one word, raindrop.io. They have a free plan that'll pretty much, I think, do what everybody needs. If you're a heavy bookmark user, they do have a paid pro plan that you can go with. That's got some additional features, but give that a try. I don't have an affiliate link for that, but you might want to look at it. It's pretty cool.
I'm definitely gonna check it out, because that would give me, because I'm not the biggest fan of Chrome either. But to be honest, I don't have any of the memory problems that people have with Chrome. Like even when we're running this, I'm only using 4 gigs of RAM on this entire PC, this gaming PC I'm running it on.
I don't know how you do that.
There's sometimes where I have a million tabs open and I don't run into any issues. So I don't know if I'm just getting lucky. But the one tip I have on bookmarks, and I'm sure everyone in this community knows about it, but if you store your bookmarks in the bookmark bar up top, if you just put them in there but don't put a name, it just shows the icons. So you can show a bunch. So like here, I'll share my screen. Just whoops, that's not what I want to do. I want to share my screen real quick, just so you can see what I'm talking about. So up along the top here, if you delete the name out of your bookmarks, then they're all just the icons, and you can fit a ton of little icons along the top. And so that's my way of showing a ton of different ones. It does make it a little confusing if it can't connect, because then you have a bunch of just like icons up there, but as soon as you connect to the internet, it should reload them. But one quick little tip for having a lot of nice bookmarks easily accessible if you have your icons memorized.
It was a good way for me to kind of rethink my organization, and now it's in all my browsers. One of the things I don't use bookmarks on mobile for whatever reason. That my brain doesn't work that way. I don't know why, but I don't. So I haven't set that up on mobile. I guess I'll give it a try there. But going across all these computers over the last couple of days, as I've been moving them around, setting them up, man, it was nice to have that there. One of the questions I threw out at Ed as we were setting things up, what do you use for a mail client? And he told me one. I was like, I'm kind of a stock guy. Like I still haven't changed the wallpaper art that came with the Mac. I'm probably not gonna, like, it's just gonna stay as is, or I'm gonna make it black. Like I'll probably just make a plain black background. And I thought, I wonder if I can make the standard mail client that comes with the Mac OS work. Mike, what do you have? Did you, when you were doing mail on the Mac, what did you use?
I was a big webmail guy. So as far as all my Gmail accounts and everything, I just used the web browser. For things like my W0EGR website, that email that I actually runs through Christian, I did use the mail client. Things like any custom mail that didn't have a great web experience, I did use the built-in mail client. I loved it. I thought it worked really, really well, and it's fluid. And I think anytime, especially on Mac, if you can use an Apple-made app, I would suggest it, just because they do. Apple's all about our software, our hardware, right? So they're running their OS on their own hardware, and optimization is big. That is how they get away with having technically lower spec machines that run just as well or better than higher spec machines, just because they do well at optimization. So yeah, I think that's why the mail app, Safari, a lot of those work really well because they're optimized.
I haven't even opened Safari once in the 24 hours I've had this. I was just thinking like, oh, I never opened Safari yet. I installed Edge and Chrome right away because I knew I'd use them. So I haven't put Brave on here yet either. Um, so the mail, and I used way back in the day when I had a Mac. So 8 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. I use the mail client there too. It really hasn't changed that much, and it actually is very, very similar to the mail client that comes on Windows 10. So if you have Windows 10 and you just take in a standard mail client, they're actually almost identical. Like it literally pane's in the same spot. The viewing pane is in the same spot. It organizes email the same way. You sign up for email the same way. They couldn't be. I mean, it's almost like someone copied the other, and I'm not sure who. I think this mail client's been around a little bit longer on the Mac side. But I know for some people it's kind of bare bones and they want more features. But I'll be honest, I kind of just want to check my email, respond to it, or delete it. Like in this case, when I'm checking my own personal email, work is completely different. I need a full Outlook client for the
Yep.
way I manage
Agreed.
my email at work. That's my workflow. Hey, everybody's different. But for me, so the average guy, so Jim at theaverageguy.tv, my Yahoo account, which I still have I sign up for all the offers with my Yahoo account, so it's kind of a massive spam account. By the way, Verizon, do you know Verizon bought them? Did you know that Verizon bought Yahoo?
I did not know that.
Yeah, and they're like, I'm having some trouble delivering. Like I think they've really cracked down on Yahoo email
Mm.
because we're having some trouble getting some of my work email delivered to people with Yahoo accounts. So anyways, if you have Yahoo, you might want to check that. And then my Gmail accounts. So I put all those in there. I loaded them up. One of the big differences between Mac and Windows for email is the Mac email client is fast. Like I put Gmail in there, and listen, I had like 900 Gmails, or emails that I never responded to in Gmail, and there's thousands in there. And
Mm-hmm.
on the Windows side, it does some weird loading where it just takes a long time, and then it doesn't even go back and get them all. And on the Mac, it was just like, poof, there they all are. I mean, literally, they just were there and ready to go, Mike. And I was like, wow.
Do you think that has to do with the new processor, like just being in faster machine, or do you think it's actually the mail client?
So I don't know because I haven't had an older Mac.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I wouldn't think. I don't know. I just know it was a way better experience. I was
That's
like,
great.
oh, so that was a big plus for me because now the other thing, and maybe this is the processor, it's just faster to go through email. Like I can on the Windows side, and I don't have a slow box, but it would if I was going through and it was displaying each mail, it'd take a little bit of time to, I couldn't just go delete, 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 delete.
Yeah.
On Windows. On Mac, man, if I better not hold that key down because it'll delete them all. All 2,000 of them will be gone.
I'm used to being able to hold it down for a few seconds between each one. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah. No. So mail was a nice changeover, and I don't think I'm going to need to go outside for the way I do my own mail. I don't think I'm gonna have to go outside and download an app, or I think I could get Outlook for Mac if I wanted to. I could use my Office subscription to be able to get some of that. And I'm like, no, I think I'm just going to leave it. I think I'm going to leave it as is.
I'm the same as you. I mean, I need for work full Outlook, right? I'm constantly utilizing all those features and calendar and Zoom integrations and Salesforce integrations and logging those messages in Salesforce and things like that. So I need that. But for personal, on the Windows machine that I'm running on now, I use the built-in mail client, right? This is what I use because it's easy. Just like you said, I like the stock. It's already there. It's easy.
Mac notifications. Let's talk about this because I have Toast notifications coming up on Windows all the time. One of the things that drives me nuts is it comes down on your main PC. It comes down over the corner where the time, over the top where the time is in the bottom right hand corner. And sometimes if I'm away from my computer for a bit, it'll sense I'm back, and then it just starts hammering me on notifications. Just hammering me, and then. Sometimes I'm trying to get something out of the sys tray or I'm trying to see something. And of course, then it's popping up over the top of it. I can't get to anything, and I'm like,
Stay out of my way.
Mac notifications, top right hand corner. Don't stay around as long. I'm never
They're
up.
a little bit lower, so you can still
Yeah.
see your time and menu.
They remind me of Unraid notifications. Have you, when you get a notification in Unraid on the dashboard, it's over on the right hand side and it drops down.
Yep.
In different colors. The notifications are different colors. So if it's something you really need to pay attention, like if it did something on Unraid, this is on Unraid. If it's something good, it's green. If it's something that you need to kind of watch for, it's yellow. If it's something bad, it's red, which is super cool. I didn't notice that on the Mac, so I'm assuming that they're not color coded, but maybe they are by application.
That's a great question. No, I think they're standard color. You know, to be honest, I don't use many. I have been
By the way, I didn't set them up. They just started coming.
I've been on a mission to turn off as many notifications as I can for like everything on every device. I'm just really trying to get better at, I don't need to see all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
I hate ESPN notifications on like the news. I love it when I get the score alerts for my Jays, but not when it's just news. But yeah, the notifications and Apple obviously have gone through a lot, right? Like everyone knows Apple's just they can't get notifications right, especially on the iOS side. Now they've gotten better though, so I think on the new version of Mac they've gotten a lot better.
Okay.
I like how they you have the tray over there with all the notifications, and I like it. It works.
And I think upper right to be able to get to that. And I do love, if you go up to the clock upper right and you click on that, it drops down that notification plus like a dashboard.
Yeah.
So
you can customize that too with whatever you want down there.
And it looks just like my phone, which is super cool. Like now I'm like, oh, I recognize these. This is cool.
That would be cool if you could sync that across. Yeah. Like, hey, here's what I use on iOS. Man, that would be nice. I wonder if that's coming.
Right.
Maybe it already exists. I don't know.
So not as the notifications for me, I love notifications. I'm a little bit different than you. I like them. I rely on them.
Okay.
I like the notification. You just said, Max had a lot of trouble with it. Well, maybe they got it right for me this time.
You're jumping in at a perfect time, Jim.
First time ever.
Yeah.
First time ever. I got crypto right a couple of weeks ago, and now I got this right.
You're on a roll. Just keep doing it.
Dude, I know I need to bet on the lottery. So that piece is working well. It does look like, the Windows, it looks, when you click on the clock in the upper right, Windows, it's the bottom right. It's a very similar effect, right? So you have your notifications above, they're stacked if you need them there, and then you can add some additional dashboard. I do like the ability to add some dashboard settings in there. So, excuse me. So that has been that part was a really good experience. The notifications got out of the way. They're there. I want them, but they got out of the way. So that was good. Then it was time to set up remote access. So my remote desktops, and I have 4, 5 probably PCs that I remote into from time to time. And there's a remote. Microsoft makes a remote access client, remote desktop client that's in the store. Listen, all Mac applications need to run through the store. All of a sudden, I realized how annoying it is. Like with Windows, we've been installing things for so long. When you do something outside of the store, you just kind of, I don't know, forgive it. But because it's a new experience on Mac, I'm like, crap, why can't this be a store app? Like, I just want it installed and there. Because installing can be kind of a jarring experience on a Mac, I think.
Really?
I think so, yes.
Okay. And I guess, if you're not new, I can totally see how that can be. But they have certain restrictions on what apps in the App Store can do and what ones being downloaded outside can do. Right. So that's why Audio Hijack could never be in the Apple Store because it does things that Apple doesn't want them to do.
As a kernel extension or something like that. I think that's all, the way added.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, so I definitely, I'm not a big fan of installing things at this point because I'm still like, I get it done.
Just wait to uninstall on a Mac. How do you do it? You can't.
Yeah, I'll call you because
you have to get an app to uninstall apps, like fully find all the files, delete it. You just try to get the trash, but to get rid of all the cruft, you have to have an app for that.
You just put the fear, like you just put a lot of fear in me. Nathaniel in the chat room says, he says, I don't agree with that. Package installers for Mac are pretty easy. or drag and drop applications folder. Yeah, Nathaniel, yes, but again, I'm coming from a new environment and I haven't done this in a while, and that's not intuitive. I think I installed one or two things. I'm like, oh, okay, I get that. But you're like, that was weird. Like that really, in Windows, it's a really a single click from anywhere, and it starts installing, right, and then you're done. And that's not,
I don't think so. I think there's all those like next, accept this. Where do I want to install it?
well, you get that in
Right,
Mac
like
too. You get that
standard.
in Mac too. No, what I'm
Yeah, but
talking about is to start the installer, to just start it. I think, and see again, I've been doing Windows for a long time.
oh, when
Right?
it pops up with like the attached drive that you have to then I mean, I could see it. You
Just
confused.
you download it, and then you got to, okay, do I drag it into the applications folder this time, and then do I? So, anyways, again, I'm not saying it's hard for everybody. I'm just saying I don't think the install experience is as clean as it could be or should. I expected more, to be honest.
It is. That's
Yeah.
what you want is an app store experience.
Yeah, I expected more. So to do the remote desktop is was super easy. Out of the store, it installed, and I was up and running, and then went in. And I think it's actually easier to set up remote desktop clients on Mac.
And it's so much cleaner to like you save all your different PCs you have set up, and I just think it's clean and easy to use.
Well, it also saves your sign-in information. So you like, hey, I've got it. It's like, do you want to use a username and password? Yes. Do you want to use it from this one? Yes. Like it's a drop-down selection, and I'm sure there's a way to do that in Windows. I don't think there is though. So again, this is super small. Like it's super minute of a difference here on the way it's done. But again, these are just my initial impressions, and so I kind of like, it comes up when the remote desktop pops up, it's full screen and it's beautiful. Like you're like, it feels like it's native.
Yes.
Like it really does. With Windows, you got the bar along the top, and the resolutions are, you can move something like I just never really, it was just one of the, yeah. It's just one of those things. So really like that experience. The remote desktop has been good. I'm going to use it a ton. When you bring it up, it's got pictures of the remote desktop clients in there, the last thing you left, which is kind of cool. Still kind of figuring out where I put what, and I get all those things done. So that was done. And then I got a bunch of help from Ed Sullivan. So Ed, thanks. I know he listens to every single one of these, but big thanks to Ed, who jumped on twice to help me kind of get this up and running. We did a bunch of audio tests. We did loopback. So I had mentioned earlier, I bought Audio Hijack and loopback to be able to play things out of the browser. But as he was walking me through those, boy, loopback's got some powerful features that will allow me to take audio from really just about anywhere I want on the PC. So you can get as granular down as to just an application. I want to take this application, send it through, and then Audio Hijack allows you to set up different filters or different gates, different limiters, right? That's a whole new world for me. Like I've been a hardware guy.
Yeah.
Right. I bought mixers.
Yeah.
Right?
It's essentially the Go XLR app equivalent on the Mac side. It does all that kind of routing with software that you're trying to do with hardware.
Yeah. Nathaniel also says he likes the Mac remote desktop client better than Windows too. I liked Windows remote desktop. Like I had an icon. I put all the icons in one spot on the desktop. Click on it. Once you got it set up, click on it and you're in. But man, that was a huge surprise to me. Just how clean that was. So I'm struggling. Here's some areas I'm struggling. So those are, those are the good things. There's been no showstoppers. I've never had a moment where I've been like, I made the wrong decision.
Taking them up on that 30-day return policy.
Haven't had one of those yet. Like, oh no. Like it's always been, there's some minor things as far as navigation. Let's just be honest. So I expect in Windows, you expect all the navigation to be in the app. that's not necessarily the case on Mac. So I have an Edge window open right now. The close, minimize, and whatever options are there. But then the actual options are up in the top toolbar.
File, edit, window, help, all the yes, that always stays up top. Yep, you're
Yeah,
right.
and
Can't do it away if you click out of it. So yes,
I can't always figure out why some are and why some aren't. Like, what controls that? And when do I, if I have a window behind a window, which, like, is it the one that's on the top that is up there? And what, like, I was really comfortable moving windows around and resizing them and snapping them in on Windows. I have a little bit of work to do on Mac to figure out all the nuances. I'm sure it does some of that, but I still got to figure that out. What's the thing on the bottom? What do you guys call it in Mac? The dock. It's moved twice on me. It was in front of me, and then it was on the monitor on the right, and then it was back on the left, and then it was back on the right. And I'm like, I don't know if that's me or I'm doing something different. Can you move that dock? Is that
and actually, so by default, so I can get more screen real estate, I have it not show up unless I put my cursor down there and then it pops up because I don't
okay?
like how it's always down. It's taking up a bunch of
Yeah.
screen real estate.
Yeah.
If you right click, the easiest place to do it is on the line that separates the right side from the left side. There's all sorts of, minimizing position on the screen, turn magnification on so that kind of gets bigger as you drag your mouse across. So kind of
Got
like
it.
make
I
those.
remember that from the old Mac. That functionality has been around a long time, right? I mean, that the toolbar down below or the dock has been around a long time, and I
It
remember
has,
some of those things.
Yep,
Yeah.
correct.
Turn on hiding. So if I turn on hiding, that's when it goes away, and that's when if I bring my mouse down, it pops up. Okay, I'll give that a try. The great thing about this is you find all these little things, and you're like, oh, okay, we'll give that a shot, and I'll see what that looks like.
Yep.
I was kind of used to mouse without borders, and I download Synergy, and I paid the $30. I think it's $30 one time, which it's not terrible. Mouse without borders was free, and that has been another one that has been difficult to get working across because Synergy allow me to use my keyboard and mouse plus copy paste, that kind of functionality across both Windows and the Mac.
Right.
It hasn't. I've got some tweaking to do to figure out all the right. It's got some nuances in it that's just not. You would think like set it up, point it, put the IP address in, and you're good. That was kind of the mouse without borders. Synergy has not been that easy, so I've got a little work to do there.
Interesting. See, it's weird. Some of these things that you're saying you've had issues with, I was like, I think for me it was just like boom, boom, done. Like it did work kind of the way. So there must be some little nuances there or things that have changed.
Yeah.
Are you trying to do it on your work laptop or because it seems to be working right now between your Windows machine and your Mac?
I got one working. I have one, but the Core i3 box next to it to the right, not working. And I got it set up. I said I had to do a reboot, and I've got some plotting that's going on, so I don't want to reboot it just yet. So that could be the problem, right?
I into a problem doing a reboot, and I said no. So the damn thing won't work.
Could be my fault. I'm just saying. But it's been harder. Like even when it did work right, there's it almost has like a Windows feel to it because there's like a system. You can either be as the system or as a user. And then, okay, so what does that mean? And then there's a automatic configuration in it, but when you click it, it does really nothing visibly. And so you're like, did that do anything? Like, if I want to save this configuration, and then on the Mac, it's actually every time I reboot, maybe you can help me troubleshoot this later. It reinstalls every time it boot. Like it asked me for the key. So this is where I'm frustrated on the install because I don't know if I installed it correctly. So at some point I'll spend some time with you and we can look at it.
Sure.
That's my frustration with install. It's like not really sure it's installed correctly. So some of that's me, but I'm just saying first 24 hours, these are my first impressions. Getting that done. So Windows sizing, kind of finding everything. I still haven't set it up with my phone and my watch, apparently, because now I didn't know you could just log in with the watch. But 24 hours in, I like it. Like I'm
How
in.
snappy is it? Like that's what I was really curious about.
Oh,
Like,
it's
does it
fast.
feel like does it feel blazing fast?
It's fast AF. I mean,
Yeah,
it is like wow. Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing dragging on this thing ever, you
that's
know.
fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just click
So,
on it, opens, you're going. I remember, doing that the first time I upgraded this gaming PC. I was like, oh my gosh, stuff just like
yeah.
launches. Like I was so used same as you, like working with old hardware, right? Getting the most out of it. Brian in chat actually brings up my favorite. Brian, this is perfect. Best tip on the Mac, thing I use all the time. Command space. I hit that more often than any other key combination. Brings up the little search bar,
Mm.
and apps. I launch apps that way. I don't click on any apps. That's how I start to type it. Boom, done. Math equations, you can start typing the equation in there and it'll give you the answer in that search box. Don't even need to hit enter. That search is the term Sherlocked, because Apple has that term, they Sherlocked something, which means they took a third party app that was great and they integrated it in. It started with Sherlock. That was a Sherlock app that had that same integration where you would hit a key combination, it would pop up with the search in the middle. And they took that and integrated it right in. And it was my favorite because it was something I loved, the Sherlock app way back in the day.
That's a great tip. It does remind me for the first couple hours I was doing Control C, Control V, or Control V, Control C.
The rest of your life, I still get when I switch between the two, I'm starting to hit the wrong thing.
Yeah, so I'm having to physically think like, oh, how come that? Oh, that's right, Command. Yeah. Got to do command. I do have I've been using Mac keyboards. Well, I can't actually show it to you, but I have been using Mac keyboards for years now. So I had the right keyboard for it right out of the chute, which I think will help get that done. So a couple keyboard shortcuts. I'll learn some of those this weekend. In fact, as soon as we're done with this podcast, I'll download it from. Okay, I'm kind of scared about this. So I'm just gonna admit it. I'm kind of scared. I have some anxiety. I got to download from StreamYard the video file and then put it into Audacity, which I've set up to strip out the audio. So that, at least that was my old workflow. I might do that differently as I learn the tools that are here, but I'm going to use Audacity because it's my current workflow. But then I got to put it into iMovie, right? To make the video.
It's so easy.
Okay. It's my heart's beating a little bit because I'm like, shit, am I going to be able to do this?
Oh, you'll love it. If you have any problems, you can ping me because iMovie's gonna be so simple.
Yeah. And to be honest, I don't do a lot. Strip off the ends. I say this is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks. Then I put if you've ever watched the video, I put the title slide or a logo slide, and I play the music.
Right.
And then at the end, I put some music in, another slide for 30 seconds. So that's all I have to do. Make an MP4 out of it, move it, and then I'll have to figure out the new resolutions. Oh, no, I won't, because I use Handbrake. Oh, can I use Handbrake? Is Handbrake an option? Okay. But do I need to? Well, will iMovie kick it out into some new resolutions?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is too, iMovie has export as audio, so you don't need to go strip the audio out if you want to. You can just, in their same movie, you edit it once, and then you can export it as the movie, and then export audio only, and you've got both. I believe that's iMovie. I'm opening up iMovie now just to make sure I'm not leading you.
New world, Michael Wieger. I called you Weaver. Why did I call you Weaver?
Oh, that's a new one.
That's your like Jason Bourne name.
Yeah. All right, Michael Weaver.
when you're out murdering people. Okay. Well, see, this is what's causing me a little apprehension is that, I have done that process for 10 years. I have dropped it into, for me, dropped it into Audacity, stripped out the audio, exported it as an AIF for full, and then put it in Auphonic. I use the web version Auphonic, let it do its thing, and then dropped it into Windows Movie Maker, which I still have an executable for. That you can't find it anymore, but I still have an executable for that thing. And that is drop dead simple. It's just put it in, slice it off. You get a little WAV file underneath it. I mean, they really did a nice job. That's one of the best pieces of software that they destroyed, right? Because it makes making movies super easy. So learning iMovie is I'm a little apprehensive about it, but I think I will figure it out. You may get a few. Watch your Discord over the weekend, Mike.
Okay,
Watch
I
your
will.
Discord over the weekend.
And I'm looking. Yeah, so when you go to export, again, this will take you, but like iMovie, so top right corner, there's a share feature, and
Okay.
if you click export file, like you're gonna do a movie, there's under format video and audio, or do you want audio only?
Okay.
And then file format, you can do AAC, MP3, AIFF, or WAV.
And
So
is that MP3 Fraunhofer or lame? I'm sure it's Fraunhofer. Okay. You're looking at me like you've never heard those words.
I've
Fraunhofer.
never heard those terms.
The Fraunhofer codec is the best of the two. Lame is the open source one, and it's not great.
It's Apple's.
Okay.
It's high quality.
It's
Right?
got to be Fraunhofer. It's
I
got
would
to
imagine.
be. Yeah, I would imagine. It's probably.
But yeah, so then so all you're gonna do, download it from StreamYard, pull it into iMovie first, and then do your editing, and then as soon as you click export, you already know you've got your ends done, like you're set. You don't need to trim twice. That'll save you time, right? Because don't you
totally
know in Audacity and
no
you,
two, but I got to import it into Audacity. It's already cut when I bring it into Audacity. So I do the Movie Maker first and get the
and then you bring that file into Audacity.
correct.
Got it.
Use it has an FFmpeg encoder.
One step.
Yeah. Well, but okay, I do wait, and I don't wait a long time, but I do wait a while to get all that processed. This is where the Mac will pay off if it's really as fast as people say it is.
Oh, it'll be fast.
Yeah. So this weekend, this is be the first test of doing these processes of just how fast it can crank out an hour and 20 minutes of our blabbing on about things. And I need to kick out a couple different formats. So this is what will save me today. I take I think I used an Android. It's called Android Medium. So it's still a pretty big file, but I kick that out in its full form. So that's got audio, video, and then I use Handbrake to crunch that down to a video large and a video small that we move over to MediaFire, right? Well, I don't think I'll need, and then I have a version that goes to YouTube. I don't think so. For today, I got to fire up, a Handbrake, and then it's CPU only. Like none of these things use my GPU on the Windows side. So what I'm hoping is I can go, bam export, bam export, bam export, and once I get that in a kind of a workflow of exactly what I'm looking for, I kick the audio out first and get that over to Audacity because or Auphonic because that is slow. That upload is slow. That processing is slow because it's on their servers. And I guess someday I could buy the Auphonic for the Mac and process it locally. And that may actually even speed that up, but the web version's pretty good. Then I got to create the version for YouTube, the video large and the video small. That's the savings in time that I'm hoping we can just kind of bam, bam, bam.
And do you utilize the cues in Handbrake?
Yes.
You just Q, and then hit start, and that way you don't have to come in between each one.
Right? And they're all presets. So it's just literally pull it in. Name the file, save to queue. Name the file, save to queue, hit start. But as soon as I hit start, the CPU goes to 100. Like, it's on Handbrake. It just goes to 100. And I've tried several times to get Handbrake to use the video cards, but it for whatever reason it just doesn't. I mean, it kind of does, but it doesn't.
Right.
So I'm looking forward. Again, it's not like time is money in this case, because I'm just waiting, doing other things, writing show notes, those kinds of things. But this is where if it's as fast as they say it is, this is where it should pay off. So we'll see. With fear and intrepidation, Mike, I am worried. It's new. And I've 10 years of doing this the same way for 10 years.
Right.
Here's the good news is I'm hoping I can use this as an opportunity to change things up because there's things in Movie Maker you just can't do.
Right.
And I imagine in iMovie, it's going to give me some additional ability. I won't do it right away, but I may get to add some things, some better graphics, some of those kinds of things to it, better transitions, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. I'm just no premiere, right?
Like next week when we get on the show, it's either going to be, Mike, I'm selling this thing, or hey, that was actually really fast. So I'm excited to hear how it all goes.
Yeah. So one unrelated story. So I went to pick up Sammy today. She's home for the weekend. My number 2 son turns 30 this weekend, and so we're having a party for him. It's hard to believe. How old are you?
Turning 30 next month.
It's my number 2. Okay. So anyways, so I'm bringing Sammy home and we're talking. I said, "Oh, you're going to have to turn your computer in," because she's at Northwest Missouri State, and they issue you, as part of tuition, they issue you a laptop. It's kind of great because they take care of everything. They take care of the image, they take care of the antivirus, they take care of all that stuff. If it breaks, she just takes it in, they give her another one. Like, it's a great program. I would not do it any differently, but just turn it in when she leaves, and you can't buy it. And I wouldn't want to, just to be honest. So the question I asked, I said, "Hey, the Mac came in." And so we started talking about that. I said, "You're going to need a new computer, Windows or Mac?" Like, listen.
What was her yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, it would have been Windows all the way, right?
Right.
But now that we've been talking about it, the price points on these things, as we think about like what you can do with them, we priced out that, what was $1,400, I think, is what we priced out, right? The which
we looked at MacBook Air,
the Air, yeah, it was MacBook Air, and that'd work great for her. She said, "I don't know." She said, "I've worked on both."
School. What was the school laptop that there was issued?
It's a HP Windows, HP and Windows 10. So she's like, she's going to be a journalist. She's going to do podcasting. She actually has her podcast figured out. We're going to have her on as we get into the spring. We're going to have her on to talk about that. Yeah. I'm super excited about that part. Like it's nothing like I thought it was going to be. Like I had no idea what she's going to do is not what I thought when we talked, back at Thanksgiving. Totally different. So it's cool. That'll be coming up. More on that as we progress. I won't jinx it just yet. She said I could do either. And I thought, I'm buying you a Mac. Like, that was
okay. Adding 24 hours and you're already changed.
I know. No, I know. I was just like it's just I don't know. Well, now, okay. I got one day. I'm super excited about this thing. It's worked out really well. Right. But yeah, it's just like, how far have we come on this?
Now I have to buy myself a Windows machine. So now I'm locked in, right? Because if you are going Mac, then now I have to be the Windows guy.
Yeah. Well, okay. For everybody listening, I still have plenty of Windows machines. Like, let's remember, most of my infrastructure down here.
I'm just getting hit right now. Like, oh well, there I go.
They're out. Most of my infrastructure down here is Windows. What I really want to be is agnostic. Like, I don't really want to care. I want to use what's best for what I'm trying to get done. And I try to, so this goes back to the conversation that we had at the very beginning about using bookmarks. I don't want to be beholden. Is that the right word? I don't want to be beholden to a browser. I don't want to be beholden to an OS. If there's anything, I want to be beholden to the best process. Like, what is the absolute best process for this thing? How do I make it work? And so this journey of having the Mac now and then jamming it into the current workflow, that is the command center down here, of how do I make this fit in to my environment and make it look not like a Mac and not like Windows, but like productivity.
Right. I like that. It's good to think about it, because I'm the same way, right? I mean, I run Unraid, Windows, Linux on a Raspberry Pi, Mac, just like whatever works best for the process. So best process. And I think what you said is perfect. Don't be beholden to any sort of one ecosystem. Yeah,
to make all this, Windows here over to the left, Mac in the center. You can't see it. You can't see it now. My power button actually went out. I think it broke on my Surface Pro, but there's a touch screen. You can't see because it's off. Touchscreen Surface Pro right down here. This is what I put a dashboard on. And then, again, we talk off to the right. I've got another Windows stack, and I have my work stack. Now, some of that will go back some of that'll go back in with me when I go back into the office, and that will change. But that's kind of the idea. And then, I'll have an unraid infrastructure of some kind that'll be running some Windows stuff. I've got a Drobo in here. I've got that Moro data box that is really doing what it's designed to do. I am excited. I'm staring right now at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hard drives. They're gonna find their way to a new home, to a new consolidated home.
Projects for like the next few weeks. I think you're good.
Yeah, no.
Report back on every week.
I'm pretty pumped. So again, Joe, thanks for sending that on. If you we'd love to talk to you about some of this stuff, and if you want to join us in the Discord group, just head out to theaverageguy.tv/discord. Jump in there. There's all kinds of great all kinds of great channels. Is that the right? Am I using the right terminology for that?
Good conversations over there too. I'm actually behind. I haven't had time to look at Discord in a while, and you guys are having some great conversations amongst yourselves.
Well, and there's some like the deals. Kevin Schoonover jumps in on the deals section all the time and posts those. If you got a deal, smart home, hardware, unraid. So, join us there, Mike. Anything you want to update us on before we wrap it?
No, I'm just loving this journey you're on with the Mac, and it warms my heart.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's good to have a Mac back in the house, just to be honest. I had a Mac laptop for a lot of years, and it was an older one, and I never really got it where I wanted it, just because I was limited on the software. This, I feel like I've got a real shot at kind of making it a hub of productivity down here, and pretty excited. And then again, figuring out how not to worry about the OS or even the browser or even the app. Like what's the best thing? What's the best environment to set this up? How do I get it done for max productivity? I know for me, I am more productive when I just have Windows up. Like if something's put away, this is the way it is in my life, not just with digital stuff, but when I put things away, I might as well have thrown them away. I kind of need them out front. My life is as you can see here, is a cluttered mess, but I need to physically see things. And so it's great. For me, this has been the more monitors I put up, the actually more productive I become, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. There was one thing I was going to say is I don't know if any of you guys are, obviously working from home. Keyboards also became really important to me. I have bought and returned about 5 to 10 different keyboards in the last year because I was trying to find something that I really liked. I ended up on the Razer Synosa, I think is what's called, V2. It's about $60. I love it. I did not want, I had like an old gaming keyboard that was mechanical, very clicky. Not great for Zoom calls, not great for podcasting, right? It's satisfying in some regards, but that got old after a while. This has a very nice feel to the keys. Not squishy, but yet soft. It's a weird way to describe it. Like it's not loud and it's kind of a nice soft, but still very, I know I hit the key. Individually backlit if you're into that. So you can do all sorts of designs with the backlit LEDs behind it. I really like it. So yeah, if you guys are looking for a good keyboard, I got the V2 of it because it has the volume media controls in the top right, which I actually use. I use media controls all the time, especially when I'm playing games. It's a quick way I can turn volume up and down on certain things without having to hop out of the full screen game. So just a good keyboard I found. It's hard to find good keyboards, and I tried a bunch of cheap ones on Amazon, and I returned them all. And this one was finally okay. It was worth it. Not super high end, but also not super low end.
What was the retail on that?
$60, I believe, $69 maybe.
That's not terrible.
$59.99 right now.
Not terrible.
No.
That's not terrible. I think I'm going to have to replace my Mac keyboard. I'll go wired again because I don't.
That's what this is. I'm the same way. I'm wired everything. I love this Logitech. I have a G502 SE. It's one of their Hero Series mice. Love it. I actually took out all the weights. So on this mouse, it's kind of cool. I wonder if I can show you guys. You can add weights to the bottom, and I had them all in there because I kind of like a heavier mouse. So they come with these little weights that you just kind of snap in there. So you can make it as heavy, and it comes with a bunch of them. So you can put them in there. So I had it really heavy because I thought that's what I wanted. And who was it? It was someone here. It was Kirshner, right? Who was talking. He thought I was crazy. He's like, why would you want a heavy mouse when you game with it? because your poor wrist is like yanking that stuff around. And he was right. I took all the weights out, and I love having a lighter mouse now. But just the customizability, you could add in a little bit more weight if you're not. And that was a relatively cheap mouse too. So I think I found finally my perfect, the Logitech mouse and the Razer Synosa. It's a weird name, Synosa V2.
Yeah, I think that's a good recommendation for sure. Let me get you back. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good call. I've gone pretty standard with a Logitech. This is a $45 mouse.
Yeah.
So.
I think we have the same one. This is the one I use for work.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. No, pretty great. And worked great. I've got the receiver on the end of the Mac keyboard and just seems to work. So
yeah, because work would not let me install Mouse Without Borders. I even put in an IT request like, no, we're not letting you install that. So when I work from home and I have that laptop here, I actually just I have to move the USB for the keyboard, and I have 2 mice on the desk.
We have Aaron Lawrence next week, and so if you're the run on Jim and Mike solo is over, at least for the next 4 weeks, which is probably pretty good. I've got a bunch of work to do. I've got a bunch of work to do. We'll see if we can get Joe from the Ultimate Dashboard back at some point. But Aaron's here next week. Well, I'm sure we'll talk a little Mac. By the way, if you want to leave me your favorite Mac tip, love to hear that. We'll play them on the show as well. Go over to homegadgetgeeks.com and click on the microphone button, bottom right-hand corner. In 30 seconds, just give me your best Mac tip or your funniest Mac tip, or if you want to just rail on me for talking about Mac on the show, I'd love to hear those messages as well. All available. Homegadgetgeeks.com. We'll play those next week when Aaron is on. I have some discussions around that. John Maddox is coming from Channels. I think they just did an announcement, or going to do an announcement about some integration with PlayOn. We will talk about that in 2 weeks when they're here. So that's pretty cool. Jay Madison is on the week after that. And then Dwayne Johnson joins us. And I'll line up a few more in there. By that time, we'll have some things to come back and update you on. New Unraid servers and a couple more weeks with the Mac and some opportunities. Who knows? Maybe it's 4 weeks later and you're listening to the audio because that's how long it took me to figure. I'll be honest. I just go back to the PC. If I couldn't figure it out this week, I just go back to PC and do it there and get it done. I'm going to leave the studio box for a couple months. Probably will stay the studio box for a while, even though I've got all this stuff to set up. I kind of want to make sure all that stuff is kind of taken care of before I get that done. A couple reminders before we go. Like I mentioned, if you want to join us in the Discord group, and a lot of great conversation, but not too much conversation. That's the beauty of Discord right now. At least our group. You can skip it for a couple days to a couple weeks and not feel like you missed the whole world on that. So theaverageguy.tv/Discord, if you want to jump in and get that done. If you got an email, send it to me, Jim at theaverageguy.tv. I'm at Jay Collison on Twitter. Mike is at Wieger Tech. Of course, theaverageguy.tv platform, both web and media hosting, powered by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust, and that's Christian. We just tested the backup to his, or I did, for theaverageguy.tv this week. He is fully redundant now there on Maple Grove Partners. So
I got mine working too. Yeah. It did. I had to email me like, how do I do that? Sorry. And he's like, no problem. Here's how you do it. And I switched over and it's all working.
It was great. And so now if there's a failure in one, the other one's ready to go. He's got plans for as little as $10 a month if you want to jump in there. Before you do that, head out to maplegrovepartners.com and let them know that you heard it here on Home Gadget Geeks. We always appreciate that.
Jim wants a prediction real quick. Chiefs or Bucks for this week's Super Bowl?
I'm going to say Chiefs by 14.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to run away with it. They're just too hot right now.
Yeah. I think Chiefs by 4.
Okay. All right.
I think it's going to be close. I think Tom Brady is just – that's a good question. I do not know what the spread is at right now. Let me check.
Brady goes out in the third quarter with an injury. That's my prediction. So no, I don't know. I'm just kind of joking around. I don't know. I don't wish ill on anyone for that, but I think Vegas has it at 3. Chiefs by 3.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah, I don't think the Bucs defense is going to be able to keep up. The Kansas City's just too fast. They are just. This isn't just. It's crazy how it's just crazy. Or the Bucks will go up by, 35 in the first quarter, and then the Chiefs will come back and win it by 20.
It's just our style. That's what we do. I am never worried. We could be down 21 in the fourth, 28 in the fourth. I'm like, there's still a shot.
It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Daddy Mahomes, he just takes care of all of us.
He just, oh my gosh, he's just such a good kid too. Like,
you can't not.
No, you can't. There's not a lot of things to not like with that guy. And so, I mean, it's not like he's deflating footballs or, those, just the cheating kind of things. Yeah. So I'm not saying he's a cheater, but maybe so. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. Ed's probably never going to talk to me again after comments like that. He's a big
Tom Brady fan,
New England fan. I don't know if he's much of a Brady fan as he is a New England fan, but we are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. Thanks for coming out. We got a busy 4 weeks ahead. Love to have you leave those voicemails at homegadgetgeeks.com. If you're listening live, stay around for some post show. And with that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.